This is a key for CFA 10. There are 4 standards: NS5, NS6, NS7, and NS8. So I'm going to go through this so you can see how you did on the test, or maybe kind of make corrections and see how you did. So number 1, write a situation that can be represented by the integer -11. Explain and defend why your situation could work. You could say somebody spent $11 on candy or on a CD or on something. If you're spending money, then that means you're losing $11. That would be an example of -11. It's 11 degrees below 0. The word below is also another way to represent -11. You're 11 meters below sea level. If you use below, they're all examples that would explain -11. Can you graph the integer -9 and its opposite on the number line? So the key with this one is that you graph on the number line, not like above it. You put it right here at -9. Its opposite would be +9. It should be on the number line, not above it. Correctly fill out this table, naming the integer that represents the situation, and tell what 0 would represent in that situation. So Annie made $650 at her job, so that means she would earn a positive $650. What would 0 represent in this case for Annie? 0 would mean she didn't earn any money, she didn't lose any money. So not necessarily that it's $0, that you just wouldn't earn or lose anything. This person, Ronaldo, lost 12 pounds, so that would be, since you're losing it, the word lost would be a -12 pounds. What would 0 represent in this situation? 0 would represent no pounds gained or lost. Not that you would weigh 0 pounds, but you just wouldn't have gained any or lost any. What's the opposite of 0? That would be 0. State whether the numbers are on the same side or opposite sides of 0 and defend why. You have a negative number, which is a -1.4, and then you have a positive number, which is just 1/4. The negative would be on the left side of 0, and the positive would be on the right, so they are on opposite sides of 0. One's negative, one's positive. Jennifer needs to graph -5 and 1/4 on a horizontal number line. Should she graph it to the left or right of -5? Defend why. She should graph it to the left of -5 because that -5 and 1/4 would be even further away from 0, further to the left. If you think of it like a positive number and you had +5 and you had +5 and 1/4, then this would be graphed further to the right on a positive side. So when you kind of flip it on the number line, it would be further to the left on the negative side of the number line. You could draw a number line to show that as well. The temperature yesterday reached a low of -2.5 degrees. Between what 2 integers was the temperature? Well, if this was a positive 2.5, you would immediately think, oh, it's between 2 and 3. Remember, integers are whole numbers. They can't be decimals or anything like that. So what 2 integers would this be in between? On the positive side, it would be between 2 and 3. But since it's a negative, then it means it's between the -2 and the -3. Zach graphed a point starting at the origin, which means at 0, 0, and then he moves to the right and then down to plot the point. Which one could he have graphed? So if you quickly just drew like a small little coordinate plane here, and you start at the origin, if you go to the right and then you go down, and you could put a dot like right here, that would be like graphing +3 but then -5. So C would be the answer. Continuing the key here for the test, trapezoid ABCD is reflected over the x-axis, and now you get this trapezoid down here, EFGH. So what do you notice about the reflection point of G? So you're looking at point G, which is here, where it used to be point C up here. At C, if you were to write its coordinates, it's over 2 and up 8. So I could write 2, 8. What do you notice when it's over here? It's still at 2, but now it's at -8. So 2, -8. So what do you notice about the x and the y coordinates? X is your first one, y is your second one. Instead of 8, it's a -8. So the y coordinate of G is actually opposite of the y coordinate C. And that's what you're noticing with C. It was at 8, so at G, it's -8. Which point best represents the ordered pair 3, -4? So over 3, but then down 4 would be point A. What quadrant is that point located in? This would be quadrant 4. You write it as a Roman numeral. You could write 4, but I would prefer the Roman numeral. Remember, this is quadrant 1, 2, 3, and then this one's 4. Which point on the number line represents 0.25? You kind of look at 0 here on the number line, and then this is 1. So right here in the middle is half, or 0.5. 0.25 or 1/4 would be right here at point D. This person recorded the temperature outside. 4 p.m. it was 15 degrees. 6 a.m. it was -7. He claims the difference between those temperatures is only 8 degrees. Part A, can you explain why his claim is incorrect? The 15 is positive and the 7 is negative, so they're further apart than 8 degrees. If they were both positive, then they would only be 8 degrees difference. What's the correct difference in temperatures? They're actually 22 degrees apart. If I were to think about like even a number line, and if I were to draw the number line and I put 15 way out here and I put 0 right there, then -7 would be over here on a number line. So like 15 just to get to 0 plus another 7 to get over here, that's where you get the 22 degrees difference. Write one number into each box to create 3 true mathematical statements. You can only use each number once. So the one that are equal to each other, the only one that would work to go there is the absolute value of -7 is equal to 7. Because remember, if you solve this, this equals +7, which is the same as that. Those are the only ones that could go here in the equals. So since you've used the 7, so then you just have to make sure these are true. A +6 is greater than a -6. -5 is less than -3 because -5 is further to the left. There's a couple other scenarios that would work, but those are the ones I'm looking for, something like that there. Which ocean has the greater depth? It would be the Pacific Ocean. It's the furthest into the negatives. What's the difference between the shallowest and the deepest ocean? So you're kind of comparing the Pacific and the Arctic. And when you compare these, you take the absolute value of both. The negative is just telling you that they're below 0. But if you were to just take the absolute value and take the 4,300 and subtract the 1,050, the difference is 3,250 meters. You're not going to say that the difference is a negative. Remember, distances between things can't be negative. Put the oceans in order from deepest to shallowest. So the deepest would be the Pacific, and then the Atlantic, and then the Arctic. I would take either the numbers or the actual listing of the oceans. What's the distance between the points 4, 6, and 4, -3? And if you needed to use a number line here, you could go over 4 and up 6 to plot this point, which would be there. And then if you went over 4 but then down 3, let's see, 1, 2, 3, it would go here. And you could physically count the distances here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now I notice I'm counting in the spaces to see that. I don't know if you can see that. I wrote it in pencil kind of light from this dot to that dot, that you can actually see that. Also, this one was 6 above the x-axis, and this is 3 below, so that would make 9 units total. This one here, the map of the county on the coordinate plane, shows the vertices, and it gives you all the points, so you'd have to plot all these points. Each unit on the map represents 2 miles. What's the county's perimeter? So if each square is worth 2 miles, you can add up all of your sides to figure out that the perimeter is 52. If you wanted to look at it like this, where I actually physically counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, but you know that that's actually worth 16, then the bottom is also worth 16, and you could add the two 16s together, and that would give you 32. And then if you added 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but then you have another 5 over here, remembering you having to double these because each one's worth 2. So instead of saying 5 and 5, you could say 10 and 10, and that would be another 20. So when you add 32 and 20, that's where you get the 52 miles. So that's the perimeter just going around. Plot these points and then find the distance between them. You can count them as well. You can see I've plotted 2, and then -5 was this point, and then 2 -1s here. And if I count the distance, 1, 2, 3, 4, the distance between those two is 4 units. The distance between -4, +3, and -4, -2. Well, this one is 2 just to get back up to the x-axis, and then this one is 3 more. So 2 plus 3 is 5, or you could physically count the boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that is the answer key for your test, and I graded it per standard. So these last couple ones were 1 standard by themselves, so you'd have to get 2 of the 3 correct to pass each standard.